the bass was mixed.
That music and beatbox mix.
Mixcloud. Streaming on Mixcloud.
This is the sound of the Killa beatbox body part sample pack. Over 120 loops, samples, and one-shots for your music production. Exclusively on Splice.
Yeah. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Oh, well, this is the best thing I've drunk so far. What is it again?
Cheers.
Cheers. Mezcal.
With jalapeno lime juice.
Jalapeno and lime juice, you see, like that's a combination that comes through our generation where, you know, back then it used to be scotch on the rocks, but now we're trying to reinvent something like really like to heighten the senses to the highest level.
May I have 3 fingers of Glenlivet, please?
Yeah. Was it basil? With basil? And...
basil and jalapeno.
Right, enough of this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Killa podcast, reporting to you live from the Valley, California. Yes, we're on location. Yes.
The Valley.
This is the Blake that put the Lewis into Blake Lewis. This is, of course...
I'll take it.
American Idol's finest. We got Douge inside, please. Singer-songwriter, craftsman of all instrumentation, and just a generally awesome friend, Blake Lewis.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
How are you?
I'm good. That was a Pee Wee reference, sorry.
Oh, right. See, and then this is where we already begin in our quest for cultural references in the US.
Yeah, that's true. And we've already been talking for like 3 hours straight, so we're ready to do it on microphones.
Yeah. We did that last time when we was doing the beatbox session.
I know, like, are we actually going to do this today? No? Whatever. Yep, well, we got around to it.
That's what happens. Like, we have this idea of doing something, and then we spend like at least like 3 hours percolating over it before we even do it. Have a drink, have a chat, do this, do that, and then
we ended up just freestyling, basically, and
and
it was awesome.
It worked out well.
Turned out great. I loved it.
That's a different location to this one, because you were in a different house.
I was down the street like 5 miles. I didn't move very far.
No, but it does feel a lot more spacious. For those of you that aren't watching what we're looking around at, Blake is... a craftsman of many an instrument, and he needs his space. So
I need my space.
It is.
I don't like to be around people.
It's your archetype, like American
unless
stars.
They're here.
yeah, exactly. If they're not here, then I don't mind.
I got a dog. I don't like people.
This is like an archetype, like set from one of the kind of early comedies from the 80s. That's the way I see it, because
I love that.
Isn't it?
I'll take it.
It's big. It's
yeah, and my style's very vibrant in 80s, and my music's very 80s, and I'm just like highly influenced by music from the 80s. Because I'm an 80s kid. I was born in 81, so...
We were listening to a couple of your new tunes with KJ, right?
KJ Saga, yeah.
Yeah, from Pendulum. These guys have been working together for the last couple of months, and it's playing
15 years. But on new music.
On new music,
yeah.
This new music, I made a reference to Cyndi Lauper Goonies.
I know.
And you took it graciously.
I loved it. It made me my inner child smile.
Jump up and do the truffle shuffle really quickly.
I mean,
no. Dan, we can all pull off a truffle shuffle. Trust me. It's
push it in.
Dude. I mean, yeah.
I should have worn my Goonies shirt.
Yeah.
I can go change.
Yeah. We go back.
We do.
Like the human spine.
I mean, it's been like 8 years now, I want to say. Because it's right when I moved to California when we linked up. Yeah, which was 8 years ago in June, and it is technically June right now.
Oh, so we are on the money.
We're on the money.
We hit the
G-spot.
And when I think of the time we met, I'm still trying to work out where we actually connected. I think it was Devil's Gun, Ollie Goodman, or it might have been Frank Music. I think it was Ollie.
I think it was Ollie.
And it was through a random text, because I do distinctively remember where we met. It was at that vegan place on Sunset that was just that was newly painted and green.
Oh, whoa!
Wet behind the ears. You remember? I mean,
it wasn't not Tao. What is that freaking thing next to Guitar Center over there? I don't remember.
Yeah.
We can't figure it out.
Yeah.
It obviously wasn't that memorable when we met, but an hour later,
we was on a poppin', baby. And this is the beauty. It's like on
location doesn't matter.
no occasion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Friendship forever. And this is what it is. When I interviewed Reaps, for instance, like everyone that I interview that I'm closely affiliated or connected or friends with, this is the beauty of this conversation that we're going to have, because with Reaps, he comes from a technical, future forward, dare I say brainiac in the most positive way. He comes from that,
Sure. He
do you know what I mean?
arrived in a spaceship, but he's trying to build the better spaceship
Right, yeah.
to leave to the next world to learn their technology.
Exactly, just to
And
get
it
back
just
in the,
circle right there.
But with you, and I think I fall somewhere in the middle of the two worlds. But with you, I feel like your purpose within beatboxing is to garner new commercial people and bring it to a musical contemporary.
I like that.
Do you like that?
I do like it. It's always been a balance issue, like the yin and the yang. My yang is vocal and singing, and then the yang is making noise and being the foundation so that the vocal can rise. And it's cyclical, you know? And that's always been a struggle in the studio and in my live performance, you know, because people look at beatboxing not as an art form, as a gimmick. They're like, oh, that's a cool parlor trick, or oh, great, that was like you just pulled the bunny out of the hat. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then it's done. And for me, it's always been, where's the musicality? Where is, you know, the emotion behind beatboxing? And so that's a big compliment from you. So thank you.
Oh, brother, no. It's interesting to see, and through past like beatbox sessions, beatbox battles. I mean, now it's gone quite. The whole scene's gone quite linear. They kind of all know where they stand, and it's there. There's you have your. It's moving in a future forward kind of way. There was a time though, maybe about 4 years ago, where there was a split. Particularly as a judge, I was a judge, and as a judge, you would see like the crowd pleaser and the technical genius.
Right. Yeah.
They both stand there in the same spotlight and both deserve the right. And it of course, it's like finding the middle ground is the slower process. You know, blending that ultimate kind of beatbox.
Right. The hybrid.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what we're doing. But then there'd be no competition. But there was certainly like a moment where it's like the crowd were torn, the judges were torn, and it was like that for years.
Years, hands down. The last decade, at least the last decade. Now I'm seeing a surgence of actual musical. People are like actually trying to be more song based, and the thing that's lacked is the hip hop element of beatboxing, which is beatboxing has not been there. I took Douge Fresh to the American Beatbox Championship in November, this last November.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, he and I are bros, but it's like still, like I'm like calling Dougie. I'm like, yo, you got to come with me. I'm going 2 days in a row, and he's like, yeah, I'll make it for a couple hours or something. You know what I mean?
Hold on, stop. Wait. you have him on dial, and you call it, hey, Dougie.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't be able to. Like Dougie Fresh is just like.
He's an anomaly. He's an enigma.
He's the first guy
He's
that did it.
like, he's the first guy, and he's still like the hardest working showbiz man in hip hop. Like he's still gigging.
I saw him
He's still gigging like 180 days a year.
Yeah, I'm saying I saw him the other day, dude. I saw him.
He's a phenomenal human being,
and he looks the same as he always has.
Oh my God, he looks better than he did. He looks like he's in the 80s still. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But so, I'm very fortunate enough we met in the right circumstances at the right time, and we grew a friendship, which is great. But I'm like, yo, like, I haven't seen you in the community, and me myself, I take full responsibility. I haven't been a part of the community very much because I'm not a content producer. Like right now, everything's very social media driven, and it's crazy. It's global. Beatboxing has taken leaps and bounds of where it was 5 years ago, and it's amazing to see. And everyone's hungry and stoked and like just inspired. It's really inspiring to see. And so I'm like, you got to come with me to the American Championships because there's some amazing people, amazing beatboxers that you gotta see this. So we went there.
Hold on, wait. So just back up. Wait. So there's Blake Lewis. There's Douge Fresh.
Yeah.
In a car.
Yeah.
On the way to this thing.
Yeah.
You get to the thing. You're out there and you're talking, and then you walk into this place. Blake Lewis, Douge Fresh.
Right.
Right. So, what the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, in the
what's the reaction?
I mean, the reaction. No one gives a shit about me. Like it's Dougie 100%. Like holy, like bebop. It's like, you know what I mean?
Maybe you're walking in with a god.
That's any time. Like I walked in with Dougie to the Roots party, and it was freaking will.i.am, Seal, Prince, by Law, like Jadakiss, like the whole root, and everyone is like Dougie. Like he has this omnipresence because he is hip hop. You know what I mean? And so it's the same reaction anytime I've ever been with him, and it's amazing. And I'm honored and humbled to be around him.
What did you talk about?
We talk about everything. Yeah. I mean, it's like where the industry is now, especially with hip hop now, because I'm honestly, there's only a couple people in hip hop right now that I'm just like stoked on, not like back in the 90s or the 80s where it was just so fresh and so new and everyone was like making musical rhymes, rhythm and poetry, rap. Not a lot of people know that rap's an acronym for rhythm and poetry.
Right, yeah,
and so we have conversations about that. We have conversations about life, his family, his kids, like him growing up, his studio, everything, and the beatboxing community. So when we walk into this place, I'm like, you're going to be stoked because I'm like, I'm like telling him because I know the scene and I'm like, these are the people that you're going to dig. I think you're going to dig. You know what I mean? Because I know him. And he's old school. He's like, he wants to hear the hip hop. He wants to hear the influence. You know what I mean? He wants to hear his influence on beatbox. And that night, it was just like, there was like 2 people out of like 30 people beatboxing that were bringing hip hop. And it was like,
yeah.
And it was the people that have obviously like are championship, like Scott Jackson, like he brings the hip hop. And
do you think that's hold on? Can I just interject there? Do you think that is a fault of the likes of you and I, which don't partake in tournaments and showcases? Because Eclipse, for instance, Eclipse he's the most hip hop beatboxer I know that you could just put him down and you put him into any hip hop.
Oh my god, his
he
whole
never,
going through the thing. I mean, I haven't seen him in years.
No, exactly. Do you think that's a fault of us by not entertaining that?
Yes and no, because for us maybe not engaging people. We only have our own spread, and we can try and be like this, and this. But it's up to individuals to, seek out information. And back in our day when we started, there was no internet. I mean, there was like no. I mean, I started in '97. You know what I mean? Like,
stop taking numbers.
So like, all we had was battles, and that was our communication. And I went because I wanted to know my brethren and sisters. There might be a girl that showed up to be in a beatbox battle. Now there's like amazing women that could kick my ass technically beatboxing,
I swear to God, man, it's a new jazz organism.
If 100%. I 100%
I don't know
agree with
anything else out there that does it. And you and me we're so well versed in music to conversate and chat like this. Agree with me when I say there's nothing else out there that is doing it to that degree of progression out there. I can't think of it.
I mean, besides like classical music, like and you're at an observatory and studying.
I mean, in popular culture. Pop music?
No.
Nothing.
And I would really love to hear it more in popular music, you know what I mean? And in hip hop. I mean, because especially right now with the beatbox style and where everything, it's very trap based. It's very electronic. It's like what kind of bass noise we can make and like, but I'm also seeing this musicality come out now. I couldn't say this like a year or 2 years ago. But now there's some musical people coming out. And I'm just like, they're singing a song and they're beatboxing and they're layering it and they got all their, they got their like throat bass and they're like the
The characters
and
are coming.
It's cool, and I'm super stoked for the next progression. These next couple years. I mean, I say kids. I feel like an old man, but they're 20. They're like not even drinking age in America, and I was that kid. I remember being so stoked, just like any hip hop, any rave, any venue I could jam if I could go. I was so hungry. I was mic envy. It was like, give me that mic. Yo, I'm at an open mic. Oh, man, I want to be that lead singer, but also I want to battle the drummer at the same time. You know what I mean? As a vocalist, because me is like, I'm a singer, but I'm also a beatboxer first because at the same time I was making noise at 5. You know what I mean? I was trying to be Robbin Williams and Michael Winslow and Michael Jackson because that's what I grew up, you know, but at the same time, I was also trying to be Duran Duran and George Michael and all this Euro, like Depeche Mode and Michael and Prince and like as a singer, you know what I mean?
That's an awesome bunch of references. Like Robbin Williams and Bob McFerrin.
Oh,
they did the whole thing.
Oh, man.
I mean, these guys together were just...
And they did it on albums together, too.
Madness. Spontaneous Inventions. Was that the name of the album? The Bob McFerrin one? God, that's the first time I heard Robbin Williams do this thing.
I don't remember what album title it was. You're very close. I
can't remember.
You're very close.
I think it's Spontaneous... I can't remember. Anyway, of course, being an American kid growing up with Morecambe Mindy and the comedy club down on Sunset and all these new acts coming out and Police Academy. And,
I was enthralled. I mean, Spaceballs and I met Dougie and I've met Michael Winslow and the circumstances were both on each time, but I was just enamored by. I was like the nostalgic inspiration of a 5 to 10-year-old. Just like meeting his idols, you're just like, oh. Yeah, but at the same time, you're like, we're all human, and I respect people. That's the thing is like, where's the respect? You know? And so when you meet your idols, you gotta almost like throw everything aside and just meet them on their most human instinct and quality.
Give me an example of that. Like, I know that's really hard to do, but when you say you meet them on their human quality, in what respect?
When you actually can have a conversation with someone and block out like
the fact.
It's almost like adrenaline. When you meet someone you're stoked on, you're just like, you know what I mean? Like you have this like, it's a palpable almost, like it's almost a feeling, and then you're just like not answering. I just want to go, and then you know.
Bucking like a walrus.
Yeah, or turn into Adam Sandler. You know. But for Robbin, I was on set of this music video commercial thing, and the producer, she just asked me, like, how'd you get into beatboxing? I was like, I owe it to Robbin Williams as the first person. Like, and they're like, what? Wow. That makes no sense to me. And I was like, I watched every episode of Morecambe Mindy and was doing all like, you know, just making weird noise.
Wow.
And then it was cartoons, obviously, in the 80s. We had freaking He-Man and Transformers and like, you know.
Hanna-Barbera, Stop the Pigeon.
Hanna-Barbera.
What's that good dude, Clunk,
Tex Avery, too. Like even the stuff from 30s and 40s and just like how sound effects was so much a part of animation in general. And I've loved that. I'm an only child, you know what I mean? And my parents worked, and so the television and that in comic books and just animation in general is that. But Morecambe Mindy was like, oh my God, this dude's crazy, and he's an alien from another planet.
And he moves. He's so swift. He moves everywhere.
Oh my God, he's amazing. And then I obviously grew up, and my dad loved him too, and so we watched every single movie he was in. You know what I mean? So Robbin, and we have the same birthday. Long story short,
same birthday, I like that.
This producer it's random. This producer hands me a phone. It's like, someone wants to talk to you. And I'm like, hello? He's like, Blake Lewis, Robbin Williams. And I was just like,
hold on. Shut up.
It was insane.
You spoke to him?
I met him. I spoke to him many times. Then I met him. So this is when I'm on American Idol, which is a whole nother topic of a show I'd never seen, randomly got on, and then kept making it. which we can go into
Yeah,
beatboxing
we get
this,
into
but
that, yeah.
I'm a huge comic fan. When I got to LA, all I did was go to the Hollywood Improv, Comedy Store, Laugh Factory by myself. We weren't even supposed to like go out of our room when we were on this TV show. And I went out almost every night, and I went and met comics. Because that's like one of the main inspirations of who I am.
So while you were doing the TV show, you would go to the Laugh Factory and
yeah, and Hollywood Improv and have drinks with comics and shit and talk. And they're like, we just watched you on TV. And I'm like, I've been watching you my
That
whole
is
life.
Such a good idea.
It's so
you nailed
random.
it. You nailed it.
Well, it's just for me because I was scared to be in this town because I'm from Seattle and it's very small and unique. And the music scene is like so welcoming. And LA is weird. It's just so huge here. You know, it's like, and it's hard to find your tribe here. Anyway, so randomly, middle of Idol, started doing these commercials for Ford. Robbin Williams is on the phone, and he's like, my daughter's a fan of yours, you know? Oh my God. And at the time, she was like 12 or something. I don't know. And so I'm like, sign my autograph and send it to him. Like crazy, random. Like this is just, it's
too much
mind
for my
blowing
head.
because like, I knew when I was coming to LA and the show and where it was at the successful part of its, phenomenal television viewing, whatever ship, that I was going to meet people. And so I brought all my vinyl with me, like all my like favorite, like Prince and Stevie and Michael. I was
What, on
like,
the case
I don't
that
know
you're gonna- yeah.
On the case. It's like, because I'm just like hopeful 80s kid that's like, I'm going to meet some people.
Yeah.
Which behind is like, basically that's who it is. It's like,
Michael
Quincy,
Jackson?
well, I wish it's
Jones.
Quincy Jones,
Wow.
Bono, and Bowie, but I didn't meet Bowie. I just randomly got that from him. Anyway,
If you're not watching this on the YouTube channel, we're blatantly pointing behind us at Michael Jackson album with Quincy Jones' signature, David Bowie picture with David Bowie's signature, and you too, Bono man himself. Wow.
stories.
Wow.
I got stories for days for the Idol, but the Robbin Williams is hands down. Dougie and Robbin.
The game changers.
It was the game changers for me because those were the inspirations, and talking about noise making and beatboxing and vocals. Those were my guys. Those were, if I met Pee Wee Herman, aka Paul Rubens, I would probably lose my shit.
So he's another one.
Oh my God.
That's a very
Yes.
American. That's a very American character. Him, Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, and there's just the fact that he was like a comic and it was like a really dirty kids show and then it became a kids show and then he got wrapped up with a masturbation charge and that's how the show ended is just like, it's a perfect American story. It's just like...
Predating
And
Kardashians.
oh my God, yeah, oh fuck, yeah. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah. There's a few things I want to get into with that because.
But the beatboxing and Dougie Fresh going into the American Beatbox Championships, that was a whole beautiful moment, and I was enamored by the talent, and he was too, but he's just like, where's the hip hop? And then Scott, who's the Canadian Beatbox champion, who's one of the judges, he did his own moment because he was one of the judges, like. And he killed it. And he's like one of my favorites. And then there's Gene. There's the Beatbox House in New York.
Kenny Urban.
Kenny
Those
Urban,
guys, yeah.
Chris,
Napalm.
Gene.
How do you say his name? Is it Napalm?
Napalm. Yeah. And he came out with Lips, his album.
That Lips album is it's fire.
It's Napalm.
It's
what it is.
Literally, when I heard it, I was like, "Oh, there's the game changed."
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. 100%.
We can do this on record. And I was only chatting to Roops about it about a month before it came out, and it was like, boom. So things are changing, and the influences that you have with the hip hop, because sometimes when you have the hip hop style on stage, I don't think it's hip hop's fault. Because I think when I look on reflection with things like trip hop and big beat, and
Yes,
they were literally
From
using
95 to 2005.
Dude, they were making electronic sounds that just weren't even. They were doing some crazy.
Go.
And the European influence was just insane.
There you go.
They took breakbeat to another
Like
level.
Cold Cut, for instance, and those.
Cold Cut, and Instant Warriors, and Hybrid, which is no longer Hybrid anymore, and Future Sound of London, Orbital.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, all these. I was such a raver kid. Like back in the night, like I was in hip hop, and then electronic music hit my life like got punched in the face.
We'll get into that. We'll definitely get into that. I do feel like with the hip hop thing, sometimes when you get up on stage and do something so contemporary, like people tend to think, oh yeah, he's from that era. But with the new sounds, you can apply that sound into a more hip hop based beatbox set.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's like it's literally down to tempo, and I don't know why the tempo always falls into the same 138, 145 kind of place.
I even see it like almost at 160 though too, which is like that break drum and bass. Like I think it's just because of the halftime factor. So like if you're like
you can add more
at
sounds.
a faster tempo, then you can do really cool technical things in between the kick and the snare.
Mm-hmm. So the more halftime thing, you can add more content within the
Right, and then if you're using the kick and the snare as like your more melodic things, like and then with the snare, then all the stuff in between is the stuff that people are like, oh, but then you have the foundation, on the melodic thing.
I see.
And that's what's cool about now is because, and also I see the hip hop element coming in because a lot of people are doing the humming. But they're doing it. They've gotten so technical that their beatboxing style doesn't change when they flip into that. Because it's a lot easier to be like so dynamic and like. But then when you're humming, you're like, it changes everything.
Yeah.
But they are finding
kind of
that
follows
balance.
out the stuff. It kind of follows. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like Rozelle and Kenny Mohammed, like they started when we were getting inspired by them. Now they're just like on that level. It's insane.
It's insane. Do you think though, like as I mentioned about the whole cold cut thing with the electronic sounds, pulling that into a more hip hop tempo, there's enough to go around, isn't it? I think there's enough to go around. Like you don't have to just stick to that kind of like dubstep halftime thing.
Oh no, I think it's getting played out right now, and that's
getting played out.
I feel like people are trying to get more musical. They're trying to come up with like a hook, which is great, and that's why I say it's coming back to hip hop is because, they can have an MC doing it, and then they can do the hook, like, what's it, Dahari?
Donnie?
Darnie, yeah.
Dude, Donnie's, he's from Dot.
Musical from Jump Off, and he's doing that, and there's a lot of people that are jumping on now, too. That sounded like a fart.
It was his
drum stool.
It was his secret extra drum backup called the drum stool.
This is my new beatbox sound.
Yeah,
but he's killing it.
Yeah, he's
you know
killing
what I
it.
mean? And he, I don't know if it's his girlfriend, but he's the vocalist. Like he's always collabing, and that's what I love.
Yeah.
Because it's all about communicating. That's the thing I love about beatboxing. And when you get together with another beatboxer, we can communicate without speaking language. You know what I mean? We have our own language. And that's the language of music. And so that's why I see these new beatboxers like getting so musical, and it's super inspiring. I'm seeing like 14-year-olds and like even younger. I met this like 10-year-old girl just killing it. And it blows my mind.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Because those early foundations that were set, through Dougie, and then came through Rozelle, and then came through to us.
Yeah.
And all that kind of boundary, without rubbing off, we're not breaking ribs here by saying this. I think this is it's written. But like this trajectory, and then it gets to us, and I remember personally like wanting to really establish a community and really wanting to be like, well, girls, guys, collaborations, try and make it onto record. Let's try and make it onto record. And now it's just like it's finally like happening, like
it's crazy
in a real kind of
social media. It's just podcasts and Instagram and YouTube, and it's crazy. I had this conversation with Dougie when we jammed on Idol. So I met him a month before, and we just jammed like a couple times that night. And then they got on film. They never showed it to me. I'm so mad. And then I was like, I think I'm gonna make it to the final. If I make it to the finale, I wanna do this with you because it would just be so full circle to who I am as a musician and my influences. And we had this 4-hour conversation. He called me Neo, and he was Morpheus. You know what I mean?
Oh
like
my
this, like
God.
crazy. And I was like, that's pressure, dog. but then after my experience of Idol, like I got super depressed. I wasn't doing anything in my community. I moved back home to Seattle. People didn't even know I lived there. So for going back to one of your first your questions was like, do you feel we have a responsibility? I say, yes, we do. But at the same time, people find the internet's there. Like 10 years ago, YouTube wasn't popular. You know, now it's like you go on there. Instagram wasn't a thing. Now everything is video content. You know, Vine's not around anymore, but that was like so popular for like 3 years straight. And that was just 6 seconds of like, you know what I mean? It was crazy. And I had like people that were like Vine, you know, celebrity and doing their thing. You know what I mean? But yes, I do feel that we have a responsibility, but at the same time, the responsibility is an individual thing. Like if you're hungry and you're starting to beatbox and you want to find out, now there is hundreds of thousands of people you can check out, and videos and content and people like Acclaim in France giving tutorials on stuff. And
like
he's a technical
live.
genius.
He is.
You know, he's one
like
of my
with
favorites.
beats, Alan, you can't fuck with him.
He's ridiculous. And like
tiny,
metronome,
tiny.
he's so on point, accurate. You
Creating
know,
effects.
oh, I love that dude.
I know, because the loot stuff he's doing.
He's crazy. He's great. Talk about musical. He was actually one of the first people that I was just like, yes. You know, finally, like that's actually putting content out and like doing it. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's fire every time. It's not like, oh, that was a cool post. That was like, oh, that's a fire.
He's thought about this. You know, when I see some of it, most of his stuff is like, he's to spec. He's gone away and really worked it.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Sonically, everything is on.
Yeah, man.
Bang,
He's technically amazing. You know, he's working. And my homie 80 Fitz that I've collaborated with many times, he's gotten very musical, and he's trying to become an artist and not just a beatboxer. And that's the thing about beatboxing. Like I said, balance before is like, you know, a lot of people just like, oh, that's a cool thing. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, it's a dope thing, and you should know about it. You know what I mean? It's not a gimmick. Because I had this balance issue on American Idol because I'm going on this show I'd never seen. My friends have auditioned for it. It's 6 years going now, and they're like, do not beatbox. Do not beatbox in the audition. Every single beatboxer has gotten a no. And I said, I'm like, okay, cool. Then I don't have to worry about it. I just got to come up with like a couple of cool songs and audition. But they also have your accolades, you know, and by that time I'd opened for Jurassic Park. I beatboxed for Del the Funky Homo Sapien and Sir Mix-a-Lot and all these people, like Seattle, all these people that came through. I was like the main beatboxer in Washington, you know, that would get called. And I did all these raves, and I was like, oh yeah, I beatboxed these clubs, and I'm the champion 2 years running in here and in Vancouver and Portland and all the, you know, like the West Coast. And I never made it down to Cali, you know what I mean? Because for me, it was just building a community, but they have that down there. And so like in my audition, they told me to beatbox, and so I wasn't like prepared and come up with any special. And then I did it, and that's all they used. That was like the clip that they used.
Oh, so you had singing as well and all the different kind of stuff?
Yeah, they didn't show me singing in Hollywood Week, getting a standing ovation. You know what I mean? So it hurt me, and hurt my heart. But on a grand sense of things, they're using my beatbox as a gimmick. That hurt me. But at the same time, now I'm on the show and I'm making it every week. But I'd only beatbox for like 10 seconds only. And that's the clip they're showing.
How old were you?
So people are like 25.
25?
So people are like, just like, oh, he's the beatboxer. He's a beatboxer, which is true. Which my other friend Chris on the show, he's a great beatboxer. He wasn't doing it, but that's who I was known for. So I didn't get love for like I got love from Dougie and Rozelle, but Kenny Muhammad, who was like, I was a huge fan. He was like, man, this dude, he's nothing. You know what I mean? He was like shouting shit. And then like years later, he was like, dude, I totally, you know, I changed my opinion, whatever, which is great because I was like, this is an art form. This is not just like a little thing that I threw together. I just happen to be on a show that only takes a minute and a half of what you do, and that's what the world gets to see. And I could only put in 10 to 30 seconds of beatboxing when it was live. You know what I mean? Because it's a singing competition. It's not I'm not going to a battle. You know what I mean? I'm battling these other amazing soul singers that I'm just like, oh my God, how can I even compare to these people? I got a vibe. Okay,
No,
whatever, you know what I mean?
Just to interject there, like you clearly, you're. For those that have never heard Blake Lewis's vocal, his pipes at work, it's soul isn't a word. He's got such an amazing vocal range, and it's all the influences that he spoke before.
Well,
Michael
thank you.
Jackson.
I appreciate it.
But I get it.
But like the balance, you know what I'm saying though.
But
like,
at the same
it's just
time,
tough. You know.
I was just gonna say at the same time, like, so you're in a situation where you're being judged on something that is first but is secondary. It's kind of one of the same. You're doing it. Mm-hmm. Do you find you have to explain this a lot? What you're saying here? Do you find you have to justify the ways and means it which it happened?
I did back then, but now like we're talking about like where the art form has changed.
Yeah.
It's global. People know what it is. I'm very happy that I had a hand in that in America and globally. Like I still get reached out, people in Indonesia and stuff that's like, I saw you on American Idol 11 years ago.
Because I will say this,
crazy.
say this, the way that beatboxing is going now, and I think the future months and years will prevail this, but they are going in such a tonal way. And there's this new app that does the whole vocoder thing, you know, this shit.
I just got it.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I don't like about it, this is a total footnote on what we're talking about, but the only thing I don't like about it is that you can only record it once. I'm not finding, maybe I've got it wrong.
I don't know.
Well,
I just tried it out.
Anyway, we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But what you've set precedence to now, back then, is now slowly becoming like, it will turn into, I feel, a more vocal-led thing as much as a beat-driven thing.
Yes.
And that platform that you had with America's Got Talent, that's going to be something that people would actually be crying for on a commercial level later down the line, if it is still of the relevance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many competition shows now, and I mean, American Idol and America's Got Talent. People were like, actually, like, you should be on America's Got Talent, not American Idol. And I was like, I agree, but I'm here, and the universe has called me, and I just kept making it. And I was the first person to arrange his own music on there. Like, I brought Ableton and a little studio, and I'd beatbox the beat that I wanted, and then I would try and find the acapella of the artist, like, because we had to, you know, it's like, you got to do Bon Jovi week. People thought I was mad, but I was like, this is going to work, because it also, nostalgia brought me to do my own arrangement of that song.
Came in.
The UK wins because Orbital did a mashup of Bon Jovi and Belinda Carlisle in like the 90s to like this like breakbeat.
Wow.
And I was like, this is going to work. If I remix my own Bon Jovi song, I'm going to do halftime. I'm going to make it sexier. It's like...
That's sick.
You know? I was like, Bon Jovi at halftime is sexy, but like, change of love, got a doll on me. You know, I'm like, no. Change of love. You know, and I'm like, they're going to dig it. And John, I met him, and of course I have to meet the guy, and he's like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? But his band is like, we get it, because, you know what I mean? They had seen the show.
John Bon Jovi didn't get what you did?
He didn't. He told me I had big balls. He's like, you got big balls, kid. And they didn't air that. I was like, come on, say that on national television, man.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
John Bon Jovi,
and then
what the fuck's wrong with you?
Then he made like almost $400,000 because I sold 400,000 copies of that single the next day. You know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean?
Ridiculous.
It's like, where's the justice in that?
But then the next day he saw it live. You know what I mean? Because you can't really do that at a piano. You know, I tried to, you know, but that's the thing is like being a beatboxer is like, I'm not the band, but this is how it's going to go. I'm with like this keyboard player playing Bon Jovi, you know. I'm like, no, let's listen to it. Like your song's sexy, you know, but I'm like not trying to say this on camera. You know, everything's like everything was on film. And so you're like on your P's and Q's. But me at the same time, I was like, I wasn't showering. I was just like, whatever, you know what I mean?
Man. And
like,
you know
this
what?
is a cool ride. Like, I don't know when it's going to end. I've made the tour happen. I got far enough, you know, but I just tried to arrange. I looked at it as a remix competition. I didn't look at it as a battle or a competition.
But again,
but it was just like, how can I make this song my own? Because like, I don't do country music. how can I do this country song? Like, you know what I mean?
No.
When I'm
Yeah.
competing against country artists and like soul R&B singers, and here I am, like I'm like a 80s Maroon 5. At that time, I was like Maroon 5 at that time when they first came out was like a Prince, Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder vibe. You know what I mean? And that's like my vibe, like white boy soul mixed with a little bit of jazz and, you know, whatever. And then all the weird noise that comes with that, you know?
Absolutely. John Bon Jovi, I'm so disappointed in you. As long as Ricky Sambora likes
I get why he was, because he's like, this is like my hit. He said, he's like, dude, kid. he's like, dude, you're taking 12 bars of my song and like doing a battle in the middle of it, like battling a drummer, you know? And then, and that was a battle with him. And then I battled the producers almost every week, you know?
I reckon he'd see the light after all these years. I mean, it's 2018 now, isn't it? You know, which moves on to this. So you are now like in this zone of incorporating the beatbox with KJ and doing so much more vocal-led stuff, which isn't unusual for like a Blake Lewis record.
Right.
But up until now, it's been like heavily electronic. I think both you and me we both got influenced it for its time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But where this differs is it feels like the sounds that are emanating from the Mad Decent Major Lazer vocal flute camp combined with the slap bass, and then you throw beatbox in a very Michael Jackson kind of way, it throws it back to like, I don't know, it's Bruno Mars, like funkadelic.
I'll take it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems to have like it's gone full circle. It feels like it's you, but it's got a throwback that people can find.
For me, it's like who I am, because my last 3 albums were me on this pop kick, because I love writing songs. I like writing hooks that are huge, anthemic. There's an 80s side to me, but then there's also like a very jazzy electronic side, which is also 80s. Like, you know, I mean, Duran Duran was such a huge influence in that, like you say, slap bass. So like, this is the first time I'm playing bass on my album, and you know, I've been playing guitar for years, and I play it kind of like a bass, but I never had a bass until like a year ago. I bought a bass, and now I'm just like, oh, okay, you know. But all my albums, there has beatbox tracks on them, but this one I'm like, I got to do what I do live. I'm one of the first loop bass beatboxers. I started in 2000.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that did it before you.
I mean, it was me and Kid Beyond.
Kid Beyond, Jesus,
Yeah.
that's a name I ain't heard for ages.
Yeah,
Kid Beyond.
me and Andrew Chaikin. And
Wow.
I was doing it for a couple years before him, and we did a show together, and he's like, dude, I think I'm going to go the Ableton route. And I was like, I just heard of Ableton. And then like 6 months later, I saw him, and he was killing it on Ableton. I was like, oh my God, this guy's a genius. I love that guy. What a sweetheart.
Kid Beyond.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So now I ain't heard in a while.
But so I've been doing, I've been doing this for 18 years, like looping. And so it's great to see like, there's actually loop pedals that are like, for beatboxers now.
What's that thing you've got there? Show that, because
I mean, it's the
please show it.
505.
If you're listening and not watching, this is on YouTube, but you've got to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, put that down. And
I'm like, it's plugged in. Gotta unplug it.
because this is the latest of accessories. Give it a name. What is it?
It's the Boss RC505.
Boss RC.
Which is like almost like a DJ mixer, which is awesome, and it has effects.
Here, grab that.
Effects here.
Grab that mic. Grab that mic.
Oh yeah. Hello.
Hiya.
Back.
Right.
Nice save. I swear that's never happened before. Yeah, so it's like a mixer with effects and record loops. Boom, boom, and whatever, you know.
Wow. Nice.
And it works great. Fantastic.
That's the one. So, and this is the kind of.
Although it's cheaply made.
Yeah, you've been having some problems with it recently.
It's just their other products are like metal, and this is all plastic, and I'm not a big fan of plastic.
I think they just did it for the.
Aesthetically, it's great.
Yeah, well, it's
But,
great.
like,
But then when you.
If you can hear the insides, I did like 6 gigs with this. And
Jesus Christ! It sounds like it's in like a glass with ice.
Oh my God!
wow.
Oh yeah, maybe we should keep doing it.
The more you do it, the louder it gets. It's amazing. It's his own instrument.
And the workhorse that has been the workhorse since I've had this since the first Chaos Pad came out. The KP3. This is the KP3 Plus. I think the 3's better.
Beardy Man
one.
used a lot of this.
I mean, he had like 4 at one time, and
Yeah,
Tom
he
Thun
was-
kills it. I love Tom Thun. Tom Thun's like one of my favorites because he's super. He just reminds me of myself, like as a kid. Like this guy is produced so much content and very musical and technically, and he's got great sounds.
I love his scratching.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
like
very
Tom
good. I
Thumb,
can't do it. I'm
I'll
not
give
even gonna
him-
try.
I'll give it that, definitely. Yeah, no, he's
I'd
very
love to jam
musical.
with that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's mainly what I use, honestly. And it used to be the 500 and the 30, as far as the loop pedals. And
Because you were a loop pedal fan, weren't you?
I mean, when I was 20, I worked at Guitar Center, and the loop pedal came in, and I was just like instantly beatboxing in there because I was new. I was like 3 years into beatboxing, and I joined this acapella group, and everyone used effects in the acapella group, and everyone could beatbox in the acapella group. So it was cool, and I was the young kid, and
You're
I
like,
was
"I've
like,
got an idea."
and I was like, effects on the voice? This is dope. And instantly, I brought every loop pedal. I mean, that Line 6 green pedal that Reggie Watts used, like he used to use it on everything.
He isn't lying neither. Like, if you go into his garage, he's just got like hordes of like
Too many.
pedals, leads,
Right.
guitars.
It's
like
just stupid.
It's
It's a gear. I was a gear.
geared.
whore.
Yeah.
A gear whore. Anyway, yeah. So the loop pedal kind of changed the game. The delay pedal, delay and loop, just changed my life. You know.
And when you're doing your live show, because I mean, I'm looking at the setup now. I'm very privy to the fact he's got like a keyboard set up, he's got the loop pedal and he's got the Chaos Pad. Translatably, like, do your songs come across within those that setup?
Usually, yes. Well, now the nice thing about this loop pedal, the 505, is like you can store so much stuff in it. And me, I'm like, okay, cool. I have my albums. I can store my actual beats from the record or whatever samples. And that's what I loved about the Chaos Pad initially, is because it's like, oh, cool. I got 16 beats. I can store, all these samples. Only 4 of them though. You know what I mean? And you can loop it, and I don't like the Chaos Pad as a looper. It's not what it's meant for.
Right.
I mean, they put a lot of work into making that pad, and I love it, and the responsiveness of it. And,
Yeah, I mean, but within its strengths, it does
yeah,
what it needs to do. Yeah.
it's fun. Like if you want to have fun, get a Chaos Pad. But the 505, and I hopefully with our next update, it's gonna even be better.
Well, like metal.
I don't know if it's at $500 right now, and I feel like it's only worth $3. Sorry, Roland. But yeah, I love gear.
Yeah, you are. You're a gearhead.
I love gear, but I didn't go the digital route. I mean, I've tried. My setup now is either like a keyboard with a good piano or Rode sound, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
And I go. And
Your sound definitely. Yeah, definitely. I hear that.
Yeah, and I with guitar, with like a cool verb, or delays, and that's about it. With the beatboxing and that's the foundation. Like beatbox. Pete.
Oh, beatbox.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude. Nottingham guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Also-
nice. He's nice with it.
Yeah,
He's
great
really
with
great
it.
with a loop pedal
And he's
as well.
very rock and it's like he found his
Actually,
lane
yeah, you're
and he's
absolutely
killed
right.
it in there.
You're
forever.
absolutely
Yeah.
right. His influence is definitely. He's a drummer as well, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, and the rock sensibility, the attack on what he does, and he's got the loop pedal thing going. Yeah,
Yeah, and then
You're absolutely right.
this reggae dude, Mike Love, also great. If you haven't
Oh
checked
yeah,
him
dude,
out,
I know this guy. Yeah.
I mean, far as sound quality, technical ability, not a beatboxer, but just looper. I just saw him live. He blew my mind. And he like mixes the whole band. He like mixes the band from stage. It was like one of the best sounding concerts I've ever heard. Same with Rob in Pendulum. he mixes everything at home before they go out on the road.
No, but he's a beast.
Yeah,
though,
he's
like,
ridiculous.
Big up, Rob, my boy. He's a
Pendulum's
but you are
crazy.
a beast. Yeah, I mean, it's like
beast for sure.
big up Gareth as well.
I wish I could do that. I'm not an EQ compression, multi-band compression. I'm getting into it now, but I'm just like, no. I'm like,
no. Some people.
I
are
already
just,
do so much stuff on stage with all these effects and loop pedals. I'm like, I need someone to like get the front of house and make that sound tits.
Exactly,
as they say.
Delegation
Yeah.
for the nation. I was about to say someone else. Ed Sheeran does really all right,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
I mean, I remember Ollie, who actually introduced us, like 8 years ago. He's like, "Oh yeah, my boy Ed does the loop thing," and
I
Ed
got
was,
told that
Ed
as well
was
by him. Yeah,
was like 18 or something at the
just
time.
a kid. I remember doing a show
17 or
with, when he was about 18.
He came out. I was like, I know this guy, sort of. You know what I mean?
I remember meeting him. He supported me in a show in Ipswich, and he must have been about 18 years old. He was a young kid, and I was introduced to him by my then merchandise guy, who became his international merchandise guy. But he was like rolling with him and another guy that was doing his
That's
front of
fantastic.
house. It was so humble and so beautiful, you know. It's like
He's the nicest guy.
nicest dude on the planet. Like if you're gonna be up there in the stratosphere of like popular music, he's that guy. It's so nice to see, you know.
He just loves what he does, and he loves
Dub
people
Effects
love
as well. Dub Effects.
I've never met him.
He's
I've
a
always
lovely
been a fan.
guy.
He was like the one, like he's like that mid, like after I started and I already done the battles and done influences. He was the guy that came out like right when YouTube, like 10, 11 years ago, that hit the scene. That I was like, oh my god, this guy gets it, and he's doing his thing. He had that one thing with that dancer, like the gold dancer in the warehouse. Like it was so dope.
That's right.
It was so dope. It was so fresh, and I was like, "Ooh, yes! Finally, someone like."
He's got like some of the most loyal fans on the planet.
But I haven't seen it. Was it Double Effects? Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know. He's all about the Roland and the Boss stuff.
Yeah, he really is.
He's got the
He's got,
sounds
like,
dialed. I know.
blocks
His
for
pedal board is
days.
like, grrr, you know, just crazy, and he's got it dialed. I loved that. I love seeing that.
The future's bright.
It is very bright.
The future's bright with Blake Lewis.
I hope so.
When are we expecting some new stuff? When's the new gear coming?
I wish the new gear was arriving tomorrow. New My Tunes. I got a remix album coming out. Actually, KJ, who's in Pendulum, did a remix for me. I had a song called Your Touch that came out a couple years
My
ago.
Touch?
Your Touch. Yes, Your Touch. And I got these great remixes coming out, plus like 2 new songs. Because I was like, I can't just put out remixes. I'm going to put out a couple new songs. And they're very 80s influenced. Yeah, they're very, this is like the last of my 80s. Right now, I'm taking a departure. I'm kind of more jazz, more hip-hop, more beatbox influenced.
Yeah, you are.
Because right now, the landscape of pop music and even urban music, like everything sounds beatboxing to me.
I know, it's scary.
Which is
isn't it?
crazy. Like, it's minimal mixing. Like, the percussion is like, but it's in the back, and then everything's like a clap, and everything sounds like beatboxing to me.
I know.
It's crazy. It's like, and that's it.
Do you know what I think it is?
It's insane.
It's the way the sounds are so consolidated. Is not the right word. It's the way that they're so isolated. That's the word.
Yeah.
And it just feels like when you hear it, you have to, as a beatboxer, you second guess it, and it's like that's a human voice.
Oh my God, 100%.
Don't you do that? I do it all
Yeah.
the time. I'm like, that's a human voice. That's clearly a human voice.
Well, it just takes me back to like when Michael always beatboxed. MJ, the man, the legend, the myth. He always beatboxed, and I was in a session with Darkchild, Rodney Jerkins, and Michael would stand on like a wooden platform. They would mic the platform because he would always dance while he sang, and then they would mic his. Like, they'd have another mic besides, like, this amazing, of course, like, $30,000 mic. And they captured everything. And then if you listen to Strangers in Moscow on that History album, it's...
Yeah, totally.
and it's Michael beatboxing.
So what they put the microphone underneath the wooden box.
Yeah.
And they get the hollow.
Like he's a tap dancer or something. You know what I mean? And
oh my God, get me a room.
so that's where I'm just like, I'm going back. I'm like,
wow.
Everything needs to be the voice. And like on one of my tracks, I'm gonna have you got to do it. You got to come upstairs. We got to record you. But I'm gonna have a track where everyone that's on the track is the beat. So I want everyone to beatbox, like people that don't even beatbox. Like I see girls all the time. Girls, you don't think you make noise? You're always like, you know, it's insane. Girls make more noise
Blake Lewis will show
than
you how to
guys,
beatbox, baby.
but they don't think they're beatboxers.
Damn, son, I can't believe that about Michael Jackson, the whole boxing.
Oh man, I wish I saw more behind. Like he showed me behind the scenes stuff of Michael making his last like Invincible like in 2000 when it came out. Oh my God.
This is what the podcast is about. It's like information passed over, like whatever's going on in your head right now, please mate, just like regurgitate into yours.
I love music. That's all I can say. And I'm very humbled that I get to talk about it with you, my friend.
Yeah, baby.
I would slap you with this hand.
But we are in a different place right now.
I got 2 fingers that are broken.
He got into a bar fight. He got into a bar fight and he broke his fingers.
I got attacked, actually.
Yeah,
It makes me sound like the bad guy, but actually...
He's a roughneck in heart, you know. He just wanted to have a fight with anybody that would... No, not really at all.
People are like, you didn't get in a bar fight.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's Blake Lewis, man.
It's hard to believe for me that it actually happened. Put up your freaking dukes, eh? Hey, you want to go toe-to-toe with me and this guy? Hey.
Oh, there we
Come up short.
Yeah, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Killa podcast.
Yeah.
My special guest, the Blake Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much for checking in. Check it out next time. Stay lucky.